Hey everyone, good to see everyone again. Um, I just wanted to talk today about some of the strangest experiences that I've had during my lifetime with the spirit world. Um, and I'd love to know your experiences. Please feel free to let me know about them in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. But I get asked this all the time. What's the strangest thing you've ever experienced as a medium? And I always tell people, I began experiencing things that were most people would consider strange when I was still a young child. Um, the first experience that I remember being about 3 or 4 years old. Um, and I remember my baby brother in his playpen in the middle of the night. And I remember hearing the voice of a man um, who was singing a song, but there was no one there physically. Um, so, needless to say, I mean, I was still very young. I wasn't able to talk a whole lot, but I remember it pretty vividly. Um, it was in the middle of the night, and it was just this song. There weren't words to it. It was just I kept hearing this man's voice, and he would just sing almost like a hum, but it would vary in terms of pitch. So it was a little disconcerting the first time I experienced that. I also remember, I guess, a more tangible experience occurred when I was about 6 years old. My brother and I had bunk beds. I slept on the top bunk, and I remember I awoke one night and I I saw the apparition of a man hovering at the end of my bed. It was an older man, and he didn't do anything. He just was there. He was smiling at me almost as if to say hi. But to a young child, that feels absolutely terrifying. Because I didn't know what it was, and furthermore, I was not raised in a household where we were free to really discuss those kinds of things. Um, I had other experiences along the way, but I think that one when I was about 5 or 6, we lived in Florida at the time, and I'll always remember that. That was so vivid. I remember what he was wearing. I remember how his face looked. Um, but the thing that caught my attention most was that he didn't say anything. He just smiled at me. Um, as the years went on, I remember, I think one of the more jarring experiences that I had, I was actually in my early 20s, and I'm an ex-partner, and we shared an apartment, and this was many, many years ago. I'm old now, but we were having a discussion in the other room, in the bedroom, and there wasn't anyone else there, but all of a sudden, during our discussion, we hear this loud crash in the other room. And we rushed in there to see what this was. And just as you come inside the front door, the glass covering that covers the light fixture had suddenly come loose and crashed to the floor. There were pieces of glass all over the floor in the kitchen. Um, and as odd as that felt at the time, we kind of thought, it's just a piece of glass. Maybe there was a screw loose. We'll come back when we finish our discussion. We'll clean up the mess. So we went back into the bedroom to continue our discussion, and literally less than 5 minutes after this, we went back into the main area. So like there was the entryway where the glass had fallen, and right next to it, adjacent to it, were the kitchen and the living room areas. And I'm not kidding you. I used to have pictures of this, but every single cabinet door in the kitchen was standing open at the exact same angle. The oven door was down. The microwave door was standing wide open. And our jaws just dropped to the floor. Because this was like I had never had anything like this occur before. And to my knowledge, my ex-partner had not. So it was really, really unsettling when when we experienced this. It was long before I discovered that I could communicate with the spirit world. And so I was trying to make sense of that for a very long time and try to figure out what that was. And I had a couple of other experiences as I got into my teenage years and my late 20s. Mostly times when I would feel a presence, and I call these earthbound spirits. But I felt a presence around me that just did not feel very comforting. And I don't know how else to really describe it. It was just like I knew someone was there, even though I was the only person who was physically present in the house at the time. But I knew someone was there. It's kind of that feeling you get when you feel somebody looking over your shoulder. And, I have that happen periodically now. But I always tell my clients, I'm like, mediumship is a lot different than that. Because we're not connecting with earthbound spirits. We are connecting with people who have actually crossed into the next lifetime. What some people would call heaven. So typically, when I communicate with the spirit world, or rather, it would be more accurate to say when they communicate with me, they bring forth memories that they've had during their lifetime. They might show me the house that they lived in. They might show me their favorite outfit or a picture that had special significance to them. Very, very different from some of those other experiences. I think people who have had some of those types of experiences tend to have more mediumistic ability. In my experience, it's not uncommon at all for mediums to have trauma during their childhoods, or to feel a connection with people who aren't there physically. Very commonly, young children have imaginary playmates, and sometimes those are really imaginary playmates. Sometimes they may in fact be people who have crossed over. I think children have more sensitivity to the spirit world, as do pets. I notice, when I used to give readings in the past, every time I would be on the phone with a client or be on a video call with a client, my cat, my late cat, Toby, who still comes and visits me, he still curls up in my lap. He still climbs on top of my leg when I'm trying to sleep, which is what he used to do in life, and I can actually feel him there. But he would always want to be around when I would have calls or sessions with clients. My dog Katie will very often, when there's a spirit present in the house, she knows it. Her ears perk up. She's looking at something that my husband and I may not see in the moment. And I always tell people, like if you think you might have an earthbound spirit, that those spirits that leave us with an uneasy feeling, there's an easy way to kind of banish that from your environment. So what I sometimes will encourage clients to do is to just envision themselves surrounded in a bubble of white light, very, very bright white light, a protective light. And just take a little, it's not something you want to do if you have pets at home or secure your pets, but just take some sea salt and just go around the inside perimeter of your residence and just sprinkle a little bit of sea salt with the intention, setting the intention that spirit cannot stay. I promise you it works. I know there have been times when a past residence that I lived in, I think there was actually a teenager who died there. It's very tragic, but he committed suicide there, and I suspected that at the time We went back and kind of researched the residence, and come to find out he had in fact committed suicide. But there was always this one bedroom in this apartment I used to have that I had an uneasy feeling going into. And when I went into the closet, I mean, the feeling was even more unbearable. That feeling of being watched, and it not feeling good. I don't know how else to really describe it, except to say that I'm sure many of you know that feeling, have experienced it at some point in your lives. But once I went through there and I set the intention, that spirit needs to go. He's not welcome to stay. It's no longer his space. I reclaimed it for myself. And, like I don't know how else to say it, except I felt an instant difference, like a weight was gone from the space. And that's the best way I know to really describe it. But those unsettling experiences, they may or may not be an earthbound spirit. Sometimes they're just, we're picking up information mediumistically and we might not realize it. It might be from a perfectly benevolent spirit. And typically earthbound spirits, when I use that term earthbound spirits, I'm not referring to evil spirits or demons, as some people might call them. I don't believe in those. I don't think they exist. I'm more referring to people who are so caught up in their own emotional stuff that they just kind of get trapped here on the earth plane. So a lot of the time this will happen with people who have committed suicide, or with people who have a lot of grief that they haven't worked through, people with long-standing depression that they've not known how to work past. They're still holding on to those issues to the point where it literally does not allow them to cross into the next realm. So sometimes, just reclaiming our space, as I described a minute ago, using that technique, it can also be freeing for them. So I don't ever want you to be afraid of an earthbound spirit. There's nothing to be afraid of. I always tell people I'm more fearful of the living than I am of the dead. And take that however you want, but as I said before, I'd love to know your experiences with the spirit world, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Please put them in the comments. I'd love to read them. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Be sure to give my video a like and hit that subscribe button, and I'll have more to come for everyone. Hope everyone has a great week, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye.